Hey, this video is a part 2. Go watch part 1 first. Love y'all. Hey, no, what the f? No. No, not that one. It's the other one. I know they sound similar, but it's the other one. In Chapter 2, Susie's mood has noticeably improved. She's at school on time, she talks to Chris, she even replies to Alphys and makes a joke. And most importantly, she's smiling. She's happy. After class, she almost immediately drags Chris back to the closet to see their other remaining friends. For a brief moment, she wonders if they'll still be friends if there's nothing inside. Concluding that doesn't matter, she tries to rip it open when Noelle and her big fat lesbian girl crush make themselves known. This is completely incomprehensible to Susie because she's only ever had new friends for about 16 hours, and she's still kinda new to the idea that people can like her before being her friend. You know, non-Dark World people. She doesn't want her involved in Dark World business because, in her eyes, it's just her and Chris's thing. Just for them and no one else. Speaking of being new to kindness, she spends a lot of her time in Castletown making little jokey barbs at Chris and Lancer and Rouse. It's her way of showing them she cares. They all know she's not genuinely insulting them, so it's all good. She's being given so much here. She's been given so much ever since she came down here. And the knowledge of that is hitting her square in the face. Look at how she prized she is at the thought of having her own room to be in. Like, dude, Rouse made her a whole room. Just because he likes her so much. Anyway, after Rouse kicks them out, demanding that they get their schoolwork done, and all of these other guys come along. Hey dudes, get out of here, guys, stop! They head over to the computer lab for some space pinball and discover that this is actually Deltarune too. So she grabs her requisite NB and jumps inside, just in time to see Noelle get kidnapped and... I'm trying so hard not to write 18 entire pages on how much I absolutely adore this fucking laptop. No, really, Chapter 2 is literally the best chapter in the entire game. It hits every mark, it is by far the funniest, it has some of the best tracks, including one which I would consider one of, if not Toby's best work, and I can't talk about it at all because I have to focus on Susie guitar, oh my goodness. Anyway, she whisks Noelle off to somewhere that isn't here and throws some extension cords at us. We fight him, meet up with the goat, and descend into the cyberworld on a quest to find that nervous deer girl. I feel like I should talk about the music here because it relates back to my main point. See, when I first listened to this track, I knew that I felt something when I heard it, I just didn't know what that feeling was. Then I replayed Miitopia and got to Next Door, and I was like, oh, okay. I got the same vibe from A Cyber's World that I did from the Next Door theme. The distinct impression that at any moment, one member of the party would turn and say, there's no one I'd rather trudge through the desert with than you guys. And that's the impression I got from A Cyber's World. But Susie's thinking, there's no one I'd rather explore a Dark World with. Nobody I'd rather be here having fun with right now. And I love that. I'm fully prepared to admit that this next thing is just a me thing, but I have a small critique of Deltarune to get out of the way. Don't worry, I'm going somewhere with this. See, Chapter 1 in many ways was just Undertale again, but with updated graphics, battle systems, and textures. The non-lethal routes of the game involve you acting and then sparing someone, just like last time. Thing is, though, you're alone in Undertale. In Deltarune, Chris can get downed, meaning the battle is harder to end at a non-lethal route. I mean, you can just hit them and then use Pacify, but what the fuck happens if you've only got Susie left? She doesn't have any magic other than Rude Buster. She can't end the fight any other way than beating ass. Which means you've got to wait for either Chris or Rouse to wake up so you can end it the proper way. Sure, it can be an interesting bit of gameplay, but if you're like me and you're a stickler for the pacifist route, you just want to act the whole time. Simply put, having Chris be the only one with the ability to act was a bit of a hindrance to me. Luckily, Toby seemed to realize this, and like writers do, had a brilliant idea to remedy it. See, Susie this entire time had been uncontrollable. Or rather, she is, but only of her own accord. No one can ever force her to do anything she doesn't want to do. Short of threatening her friends, you cannot force her hand. You cannot make her play by your rules. So when they get to the Sweet Cap and Cakes fight and the established rules fail multiple times in a row, she's like, hang on, what the fuck are we doing? And then starts doing the fucking Peanuts dance. Much to Rouse's chagrin. And this works. You'll notice a pattern of Susie's ideas almost always working. She makes the entire party able to act, which opens up new battle strategies. Now you can have Chris doing something else while the others whittle down the mercy meter. Or if you suck at Chris's mercy minigames, you can have people just act and whittle it down that way. This is great, I like it a bunch. Susie changes the rules of the game. Because like I said, you can't really force her to do something she doesn't want to do, including playing the game as it's been written. She does this again whenever you're given the option to go with either Susie or Rouse. She's all like, bro, why do you keep asking Chris to do stuff for us like they're an RPG protagonist? Come on, Rouse, let's go get some smoothies. Wow, you're really gonna use the same joke twice? Yes. Fuck you. While Chris and Noelle gallivant off into some mice and maybe a murder or two, Susie and Rouse talk about stuff, including healing magic. Rouse teaches Susie how to heal. She's still pretty new at it, so it doesn't do much, and it takes all of your TP, but she still heals you. Like with all the magic in Deltarune, I think this is a metaphor. See, Rouse's entire character is predicated on servitude. He serves you no matter what, and that's reflected in his ability to heal you. Because what does healing someone else do for you? Nothing. it does nothing for you. It's about the person who you're trying to heal. Noelle also has a heal prayer because she's similarly the type to serve her friends when they need/wanted. And that's because she's just a really nice girl and she loves her friends. And Susie already wants to help her friends, to serve her friends. So it makes sense that she would start learning now. It's like watching someone who's never been hugged before learn how to pat her friends on the head. It's cute. And just like something like that, it takes a lot of effort. It's an uphill battle to be nice without layers of irony when you're someone like Susie. Hell, take a look at the Ferris wheel conversation. This is the face and dialogue of someone trying to have a regular conversation like a regular person, when their only frame of reference for genuine kindness is, you're unbanned from free ham sandwich day. And it's nice to see her doing this. It's nice to see her break into new territory like this. New beginnings are a big theme in Deltarune, and that's incredibly evident with Susie. After they all get together, Queen comes up and is like, help me end the world, or I'm going to kill that bluebird you like so much. And then the bluebird she likes so much walks up and she's like, oh, fuck, and just throws you all in cages. Then we play the Lancer card. Ah, fuck, the ink's rubbed off. Also, might have some touch-up paint, though. And, oh, it's Birdly. Remember how I used him as a graphic for a pompous dick? Yeah, Susie really does not like Birdly. It's probably because he won't shut up about how smart he is and how dumb Susie is. Like, bro's not doing himself any favors. She begrudgingly lets him come along as long as he shuts the fuck up, because a big theme with Birdly is that even though he's the annoying kid who no one likes, you can't just leave him to die because his only real crime is, well, being the annoying kid who no one likes. When he's all like, I could have solved that puzzle no problem. Susie's just like,
do it.
see, Susie's testing Birdly here because she's wanted to watch someone like him flounder for the longest time. Some prick who thinks they're oh so much better than everyone else thoroughly eats shit on the pavement. This is augmented by the third puzzle, which she solves in seconds. You're not special, she says. And then she learns just how not special he is. Going back over Birdly's backstory, I'm actually drawing some parallels between the two. I mean, Susie was neglected and reviled by most, and Birdly was only one of those things. Speaking as somebody who has been thoroughly neglected for a lot of their life, Birdly is absolutely right here. Once people know you for something, you put all stock into that thing that made them pay attention to you in the first place. Susie's kinda going through the same thing. Before, she had no one. And now she's a hero who has friends. So she'll keep being a hero if it means she has friends. And also, she just kinda likes being a hero. She doesn't realize this, though. If anything, she just has another view of him beyond smart dipshit. Instead, coming at him from an angle of, look, I don't like you, but you don't have to keep pretending to be an uber mega smarty pants all the time. It's literally not that deep. And then he goes, I'll go be a dumbass like you guys. And then she's like, motherfucker, that's a whole new sentence. Anyway, she tentatively goes along with the plan to save Noelle, and hey, quick question, why does Susie care about Noelle? Well, that's because back when Susie first came to hometown, Noelle smiled at her and offered her a candy cane pencil. That deer saw that lizard and thought wife. Actually, more accurately, that deer saw that lizard and was immediately overcome with the desire to be her friend. And just like Chris, she decided Noelle was cool. Not passively cool, but actively cool. She would never talk to her, at least not back then, but she decided to direct her ire away from her for her kindness. Then they get to talking, and we get a good look at an aspect of Susie's character I touched on earlier, that being her autonomy. There's multiple points where you're asked to make a decision for Susie, but she's so far away from Chris that she can't hear the demands. And even if she could, it's not set in stone that she would follow them. That's something that's always been present in Susie's character in every chapter. How freedom and autonomy is a big theme in Chapter 2 itself. And it's interesting to see, given the 35 puppets dangling around her at any given moment. There's so many vessels and vessels within puppets and themes about how fate is unbreakable except for when it isn't, and she is definitely going to fit into that somewhere. It's literally stated in the text, but unfortunately we're not there yet. Also, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I can't read the Ferris wheel ride as romantic. Well, at least not only as romantic. I read this as them starting to become better friends with one another. I say that probably because I love platonic relationships more than romantic ones, but because of my pontifications on that, I can also see that Noelle's desire for romance with Susie, like with most crushes, is predicated on her wanting to be closer first and foremost. I bet that Susie could straight up tell her they would never be an item, and Noelle would sulk about it for a bit, but she would still be grateful for their friendship. And Susie's open to that closer connection with her too. That's something we see a lot of with her in this chapter. She's trying. She's making an effort. We got snippets of that in Chapter 1, but it's expanded on here. And for her efforts, she's rewarded with another friend. Too bad she's about to fucking die. It's okay though, Susie gets a crit on that bitch. Okay, I was wrong about it being okay. And here we get what I think is our first glimpse at a big theme with Susie. When faced with a giant fuck off and kill everyone robot, she's still on the attack. She points her finger, and she tells her straight to her face, I don't care how big you are. I don't care how strong you are. I will knock you down. You will not hurt my friends. And even though her initial attempt fails, because of the connection she's made in this world, she ultimately succeeds. I mean, Noelle ultimately succeeds. Queen kind of random bullshit goes her way out of this one. She kind of random bullshit goes her way out of literally everything. Then everybody starts talking about how they really should just live in the dark world. They make so many friends, they won't have to worry about the assholes in real life, they get to be fantasy heroes, and no one's bossing them around. So, with all of their powers combined, they all decide to create a new fountain, a new world for them all to— What the fuck are you doing? Yeah, Rouse explains to them how that will just end the world. They all go, aw shit, and wake up where Chris begs like a puppy for Susie to follow them around town. I couldn't find much here, but I think the fact that their friendship is persistent even outside of the dark world and the school shenanigans is pretty sweet. I've got more to say about that when we get to chapter 4. So yeah, there wasn't all that much to read into with chapter 2. I mean, there was 2 or 3 pages worth of analysis to read into, but nowhere near the 10 from last time. This is because chapter 2 sees Susie be a hero with so many people around her, which is great for someone like her, but at the same time, it just sees her having a fun day with her friends. I've already gleaned all the information I can out of that. She hangs out with Chris after school, makes friends with Noelle, and then comes over for a sleepover. And, you know, I'm really glad that Toby Fox knows what he's got here. I'm glad that he's always put the characters ahead of the flashy new dark worlds, or cool new game features, or deep lore, or big themes, or anything like that. In a lot of ways, Deltarune isn't about saving the world and being a hero. Those aspects are certainly there, but the focus has always been about companionship. And it's certainly always been about hope. But that's something we'll get into later. Or we could get into it a little bit right now. The beginning, middle, and almost end of chapter 3 has a very interesting theme attached. It begins with a question: why do you care about things that aren't real? And then it has Susie answer that question in the very same cutscene. And then the rest of the chapter is about that answer. So let's dive in. Susie and Chris come to in the dark world. I wonder how it got here. They start walking around before Rouse summoned himself from the top of the screen like Tails in Sonic CD. Susie excitedly tells him all the fun shit they did after the dark world shenanigans, and talks to him like— well, a kid with internet access would talk to an Amish kid. You ever seen the kill count? Why are you counting them? And Susie sheepishly asks him if he would like to go to the festival in town in a couple of days. This is super out of character. And I love it. In chapters 3 and 4, we get to see Susie at her most vulnerable, her most sincere, and her most saccharine. And the way she asks this goat if he would like to go with her to an event, a public event no less, is— wow. One might call this unrealistic considering somebody as suspicious as Susie would probably need a few weeks to get it into her head that these guys are safe. But one, Deltarune has a set amount of chapters, and it needs to fit all of its story inside those chapters, so it can't be slow for the sake of realism. And 2, one could assume she learned that they were safe really quickly, and because she likes her friends a lot and knows they wouldn't hurt her, at least not intentionally, she's way quicker to be nice to them. Her quality of life has improved so drastically in just these 2 days by being friends with these dorks that her mood has almost completely shifted from what it used to be. Chapter 3 Susie is completely unrecognizable from chapter 1 Susie, and I think that's beautiful. But Rouse tells her he can't go. She asks why, and he explains the nature of darkners. See, darkners can't go to the light world because they aren't real. They're an illusion, birthed from the dark fountains. In reality, they're just inanimate objects. And he tells her that she shouldn't care about objects the same way she cares about real people. That if he, Lancer, and everyone else can't make her happy in all the ways she wants them to, she should just forget about them and make some real friends. And this pisses her off. She roars at him, the same way anyone like her would if their friend told them to just forget they were real and move on to something else. She tells him straight to his fucking face, it doesn't matter what he says he is, because he's real to her. Now, I want to talk about something. I know it's coming out of literally nowhere. I know this is probably a terrible place to put it. I know it's an incredibly unbrief tangent, but trust me, I am going somewhere with this. I really like this one theory about Deltarune I heard. I think it was from Game Theory. It was back in 2018, and it stated that the Dark World is essentially Chris and Susie's play therapy. Sort of like a D&D session. 2 teenagers whose lives are so hard, deciding to turn off the lights and play pretend in the dark. I could see Chris trying to get Susie to play with them by just having fun all on their own, and then Susie stealing away the Jack of Spades, trying to mess up their game, and then come around and being their friend. Because in playing with her, they made her feel good for the first time in a long time. They made her feel happy. Now with all that out of the way, let's go back to that question from earlier, and what Susie's answer means. Why do you care about things that aren't real? Well, it's because things that aren't real, things you can't reach out and touch, can make you feel absolutely wonderful. Take this video, for example. Susie is not a real person. There's not some lizard girl living in a monster town who goes down into dark worlds and saves the world in real life. She will never be real. She will never exist as a real person. But does that really matter? I still feel great when I think about her. I still feel hurt when she's hurt. I still feel hopeful that she'll be okay. And I still feel scared when it looks like she won't be. I feel so many things when I think about Susie, and that's why she matters to me. And I feel so many things when I think about Deltarune, and that's why it matters to me too. And that's why the Dark Worlds and Ralsei and Lancer and everything else matters to Susie. When she comes down into the Dark World, into this world of make-believe, she looks at Ralsei, she sees his smile, and she thinks, there's one of the first people to say hi, friendo, since I came here. There's the guy who I would move fucking mountains for. There's the guy who loved me at my worst, saw the best in me all the way through, and who I will be forever grateful for. There's my friend Ralsei. And speaking as someone who has had friends who have discounted their own existence and told me and others to just forget they exist, and find someone else to hang out with, this makes you feel mad. It actively makes Susie angry. How can you say you don't matter? How can you say you weren't real enough for me to care about you? I don't care if I can only see you in Wonderland. I don't care if you only appear when my eyes are shut. I don't care if I can't do anything with you that doesn't involve us being in the Dark World. You matter to me, and you always will. I'll never forget you. And as Ralsei struggles to take her aggressive loving, some TV fuckhead comes in and tells him to play some games. Still having almost no tolerance for the plot smashing in through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man. This is literally the third fucking time this has happened. Susie tells Tenna, I never signed up to be on Family Feud, dick sneeze. And then he wonders why everyone is so mean to him. Ralsei says something interesting, and this makes me think of a thing. See, Ralsei here is like a regular video game character, but with sentience. That might be the truest statement in the game, but I'm not here to discuss stuff like that. In this scenario, he'd be the sentient character, and Susie and Chris are the players of the game, and the game is the Dark Worlds. And just like with regular video game characters, they can't do all the things a real-life friend could do with you. And Ralsei tells her, in not so many words, I'm sorry I can't do everything a real friend could do. I'm sorry I can't go to the festival or watch TV with you. But I want to have fun here, and I want you to have fun here. So maybe we could try playing his game? And yeah, that's all game characters can do with you. Really, you're limited to just talking and playing with them. Even though Ralsei is a degree above a video game character, by way of him being physically next to the others, she still can't take him into the light world. She can't take him out of her fantasies. So how much different is he really? And it'd be easy to say that she'll never have with him what she has with Chris, but as of laid out, that's not really the case. Even if Ralsei was programmed to be her friend, just like Tenna was programmed to perform, Queen was programmed to serve, Spamton was programmed to leech away all of your money, and Lancer was programmed to be played with, he was still made to be her friend. So who cares if he's not real in a traditional sense? So, like many IRL friends would do, they sit down on some beanbags and play some video games, having fun all the while. Like I touched on in my Tenna video, this is ultimately a waste of time when it comes to the responsibility of sealing the fountain. But like, they're kids. And one of them is talking like they're going to be dead in a week. Of course they'll opt to spend time with each other rather than unplugging the metaphorical TV. Not Tenna, it's the one with the NES and stuff. It's the Dark Fountain. This metaphor fell apart. And they'll especially do it when Susie has to worry about school and the end of the world and all that other shit. This is evidenced by her conversation with Tenna later on. She thinks the game's cheered Ralsei up, and she also takes this as a break. By the end of the second round, she's a bit tired of the game. She agrees to play one more round for just a bit to appease Tenna, mainly because she sees a bit of herself in him. Because who would want the fun to end after a mundane, lonely life? Who wouldn't want people to hang out with? That is, until she finds out he's keeping secrets from them. Once she finds out, that kindness is completely gone. I talked about this last time, and this line really sold that aspect of her for me, but she hates it when people don't tell her things. She hates it when people hide things from her, and she hates it when people just refuse to communicate. I've been given the silent treatment a multitude of times by people twice my age and older when all I want is a straight fucking answer. And I'll tell you right now, it's the most infuriating thing in the goddamn universe. It pisses you off to no end. You'll end up putting a table through a wall, it pisses you off so much. Especially when you're lonely. Because somebody making the conscious choice to not talk to you can strike a pretty sensitive chord. So she says, fuck it, I'll find out on my own. And find out she does by finding Toriel. Okay, now all bets are off. Tenna fucking lied to her and kidnapped Toriel, and there's nothing he can say but, sorry, here's the goat back, that will quell her anger. Give me my friend, and let us go home now, she says. And in response, Tenna traps them all because he can't let them leave just yet. After hitting the off button, they escape and get to do something that's been a minor goal of hers this entire time. Go on an actual adventure instead of playing video games. All the while, Tenna has a mental fucking breakdown. Near the end of their Dark World romp, we hear something utterly heartbreaking come from Susie. And it's in relation to the tiny nagging fact from Ralsei that this world isn't real. She slides back a bit, falling back into the old habit of thinking that she just can't have anything, can she? Of course it was fake. Of course it was like a dream. Sure, it's fun, and I still care, but like, it's a good thing I don't have to get my hopes up too high. And despite being a character defined by hopefulness, she finds calm in being hopeless. Because if you don't hope, you can't have that hope smashed to bits. If you don't expect anything, you can't be disappointed. It can be terrifying to hope for the best because of the dreaded what if. That being, what if it's too good to be true? What if it can't happen? And to find out that it kind of can't can be reassuring. Things aren't changing, and you don't really have to change with them. Susie's feeling a lot of contradictory things about her new friendships and the new mission to save the world. She cares, but she's relieved to find out it's all fake, but she's terrified she'll never spend time with them all again. So she's aware of the fact that it could all end horribly, but to a certain extent she doesn't care, because being friends with them is worth the risk, but it also might not be, but it also might not even matter because it might not be real, and all these thoughts are swirling around in her head like a whirlwind. But even if all the Dark World stuff turns out to be fake, even if it turns out to be the most unreal thing in the universe, it's important to remember two things. One, as stated earlier, she doesn't care. It matters to her, and that's all that needs to matter. And two, she has Chris. Even if the Closet Dark World turned out to be nothing, they would have been friends regardless. Because Chris isn't a Dark World entity. They're real, in the sense that Susie, Birdley, and Noelle are real. And this scene really shows that. If for some horrible reason they had to seal every dark fountain forever, Susie would still have Chris, a shining pillar of reality, and her very best friend. You're given a dialogue option here. I chose to tell her friendships were real, which granted me two ironic teenagers being ironic, but another dialogue option grants you this little sequence. I wondered why everyone was so enamored with this line, and now I think I know. Imagine being Susie all her life, or however many months or years she's lived in hometown. Now she's got her first friend, her first really good friend in forever, standing by her side. And she's piecing together that they could have been like this whole time. They could have been friends that whole time. They were right there. She was right there. And they spent so long not talking. And yeah, it's stupid. It's dumb that these two absolute besties were just ships passing in the night for so long when they could have been doing this the whole time. It's one of those fucked up things you just have to laugh about. You don't really mourn the potential of a relationship once it's already formed. You're more focused on being friends than anything else. After that scene, Susie is still fully on the attack. Tenna stands in the way of her saving the one woman who ever gave her the time of day before Noelle rolled along. But in ending the battle, hearing what Tenna has to say about himself, and Rousey's words on top, she steps forward and tells him that he's not junk. He's not irrelevant. They'll find him someone to entertain. We also get that backstory I went over earlier. Something here and in Chapter 4 is Susie's relationship with hope and hopelessness. I know I talked about it a minute ago, but I feel like this scene really shows just how irrational it can be to hope in a situation such as this. But you kinda have to if you don't want to be miserable. Susie has been drenched in hopelessness for her whole life, but she's persisted. Before, she didn't have any hope. Then Toriel gave her a piece. A teeny tiny golden flake of hope sitting at the bottom of her heart. And through playing in the dark with her friends, that hope grew. Her sense of outsidership isn't gone, but it's fading because she found the right people. And even as Tenna's cut to ribbons in front of her, she goes out of her way to fix him up and give him away. I said last time that there's no happy ending for a broken TV, but that isn't entirely true. I only said that because most people throw them out, and even more people throw out old TVs just for being old. But with time and dedication and hope, and a little bit of luck, you can fix the broken TV. You can make it work again, and you can preserve its life for just a bit longer. Tenna was basically marked for death, and despite everything, Susie looked at him and said, "I'm going to find you a place you belong." And if fucking Mettaton wasn't explicitly being fucking Mettaton, you wouldn't have had the faintest clue where to put him. And Susie doesn't even know who Mettaton is, but she doesn't care. She doesn't know who will get Tenna, and she doesn't agonize over it for even a second. She just says, someone's gotta want a TV. Everything working out here is a foregone conclusion to her. At the end of the chapter, after Undyne's been kidnapped, we see an aspect of Susie's sense of autonomy I haven't touched on all that much. As she pounds on the shelter door, another thing that ticks Susie off to no end makes itself apparent, being powerless. She had no power over the life she led up until a certain point. So she decided to take power into her own hands and became not someone she necessarily wanted to be, but someone who she felt she had to be. In the adventures she has through Deltarune, she's given the power to be whoever she wants. Now that power's been stripped away. She was powerless to stop Tenna from being killed, and she was powerless to stop Undyne from being taken. Another wall has been thrust into her face. There's nothing she can do. There's nothing she can do right now. A panel falls off the door, and there's a spot to input 3 codes. Her powerlessness shrinks, and her hope grows. There's a chance. There's still a chance. She can still save Undyne, save the world even. But not now. For now, she needs to seal the fountain and make sure Tenna is okay. And even though it might feel like she is, she will absolutely not give up hope here. She remains determined to do what is right. She is filled with perseverance. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed, please tell me why, and if you didn't, also tell me why. If you liked it so much you wanted to see more, please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. If you really liked it, consider buying me a coffee on Ko-fi or donating to my Patreon. I'm Karb, and thank you for watching.